Ever wished you could just order up your dream life?
Hmm.
Like just boom, easy peasy, and it just appears. Well, tonight we're diving deep into a technique that says you actually can. And get this, you do it all while you sleep.
While you're catching those Z's, tell me more.
We're exploring Neville Goddard's method for manifesting your desires, using the power of the sleep state.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And our guide for this deep dive, excerpts from his text, How to Ask the Universe Before Sleep.
Sounds like we're about to unlock some serious secrets.
Are you ready to find out if your dreams could actually be the key to shaping your reality?
Let's find out.
I love that enthusiasm.
Well, you know, what I find so fascinating about Goddard's work is the way he takes something as ordinary as sleep and elevates it to this incredibly powerful tool for creation.
It's not exactly the first thing that comes to mind when you think about manifesting, right?
Right. But he really emphasizes that the subconscious mind, which becomes so much more receptive during sleep, it isn't bogged down by all that analysis and judgment we do when we're awake.
Oh, you mean like when I'm lying in bed replaying every awkward conversation I had that day?
Exactly. But in sleep, the subconscious just accepts whatever we impress upon it.
Okay, now that's a slightly scary thought.
It definitely is something to consider.
Like I'm unintentionally programming my subconscious with all those racing thoughts before bed.
Precisely, Goddard uses this analogy of the conscious mind being like a gardener planting seeds throughout the day.
Okay, I like where this is going.
And the subconscious mind is the fertile soil. So whatever we plant during the day, whether that's stress, worries, or exciting goals and dreams, it's all taking root in that subconscious soil while we sleep.
Wow, so instead of counting sheep, I should be counting blessings.
That's one way to look at it. But Goddard's method offers a way to intentionally plant seeds of abundance, joy, and whatever else we want to manifest in our lives.
Okay, so I'm definitely on board with intentionally planting better seeds. But how do we actually do this?
Well, Goddard lays out a 5-step method, and it all starts with clarity. We need to get crystal clear about what we desire.
So it's not enough to just say, I want to be rich.
Exactly. And more importantly, be specific.
Specifics, got it.
You see, Goddard uses this brilliant restaurant analogy, saying, I want food is vague, but I want a medium rare steak with garlic butter. Now that leaves no room for misinterpretation.
You'd be pretty disappointed if they brought you out a salad instead.
Exactly. The same goes for our desires. Instead of just saying, I want more money, we need to define exactly what that looks like. How much money? What will we be doing to earn it? How will it feel to have it?
So if my goal was, say, to write a best-selling novel, I wouldn't just visualize myself holding a book.
Nope.
I would need to visualize the entire process, from typing away at my laptop to seeing my book on display at a bookstore.
Exactly. You got it. And in fact, the source material gives a great example related to financial abundance.
Okay, lay it on me.
It says, instead of I want more money, try visualizing. I am earning $10,000 a month doing work that I love. See how powerful that is. It combines the specific financial goal with the feeling of fulfillment.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so we've got our specific desire locked in. What's next?
That brings us to step 2, which might be even more important than the first.
Ooh, the pressure is on.
It's all about emotional alignment.
Emotional alignment.
Goddard teaches that our feelings are the creative force behind our desires.
So, like, just thinking about something isn't enough. You have to really feel it.
Precisely. It's not enough to just think it. We need to feel it as if it's already happening.
So in the case of the best-selling novel, I wouldn't just visualize the process. I would also need to feel the excitement of writing, the satisfaction of finishing the manuscript, and the joy of sharing my story with the world.
Yes, you're getting it.
I'm trying. It's about embodying the reality you're creating, right?
You're a natural. And Goddard even suggests imagining holding your desire, literally feeling the weight of the money you want to manifest.
Oh, I like that.
Or the warmth of a loved one's embrace if your desire is related to finding love.
This is where I always trip up. I can visualize things just fine, but sometimes it feels like I'm just pretending, like I'm fooling myself.
Does that matter?
Well, yeah, doesn't it?
That's a great question, and one a lot of people struggle with. But here's the thing. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined.
Wait, really?
It's all about shifting our focus from what's missing in our lives to what's already ours.
You mean like in our minds?
Exactly, at least in our minds. And as we consistently embody that feeling, the subconscious starts to accept it as reality.
Okay, that is a really helpful way to think about it. So we've got our clear, specific desire, and we're intentionally tapping into the feelings associated with it. Where do we go from here?
Now we add in the visual element. Step 3 is all about visualization, which Goddard calls the language of the subconscious. It's about creating vivid, detailed scenes in our minds that represent the fulfillment of our desires. Remember that financial abundance example we talked about?
The one about earning $10,000 a month.
Yeah. Yes. Goddard suggests not just saying the words, but actually picturing yourself opening that bank statement, feeling the excitement course through you, maybe even calling a loved one to share the good news.
So you're not just observing the scene, you're stepping right into it.
Exactly.
It's almost like creating a mini movie in our minds.
Exactly. And the key is to engage all of your senses. What do you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch in this scene where your desire has already manifested? The more real you can make it feel, the more powerful it becomes.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. Literally. So we've got our clear desire, we're feeling it, we're visualizing it. Now what? This is where the sleep part comes in, right?
You got it. Step 4 is all about entering the sleep state with intention. Goddard refers to this as falling asleep in the wish fulfilled.
Falling asleep in the wish fulfilled. I like that.
As you drift off to sleep, gently replay that visualization in your mind, allowing it to be the last thing you focus on before you drift off.
I can almost feel myself drifting off over it.
As your conscious mind quiets down, your subconscious is wide open and ready to receive those impressions.
So it's not about forcing it or stressing over getting the visualization perfect.
Just a gentle focus as we drift off.
Exactly.
Exactly. The source material actually mentions that a soft focus, kind of like daydreaming, is ideal.
That definitely takes the pressure off. I
Yeah.
can do that. So we've set the stage with our desire, our emotions, and our visualization. Then we drift off to sleep with that image in mind. What happens next?
Now comes the most challenging part, especially for those of us who like to be in control.
Uh-oh, I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Step 5 is letting go.
Letting go.
This is where we need to surrender and trust that the universe is working behind the scenes to orchestrate the manifestation of our desires.
Surrender.
Oh.
That is always the hardest part for me.
It's a common struggle. We're so used to trying to force things to happen, but Goddard's method asks us to relinquish control.
I can see how that would be hard for a lot of people.
It's like planting a seed and trusting that nature will take its course. We don't dig up the seed every day to check on it.
Right? Well, I've been known to do that with my tomato plants.
We trust the process of growth.
Okay, I get the analogy.
Yeah.
But how do we practically apply that to our desires? I mean, it's one thing to trust a seed to sprout, but what about trusting the universe to deliver a dream job or that perfect relationship? How do we deal with the doubt that creeps in? That's the million-dollar question, right? How do we quiet those doubts and really trust the process? It all sounds a bit mystical, to be honest.
You know, it's funny you say that because one of the things that makes Goddard so fascinating is how his teachings bridge this gap between these seemingly mystical concepts and what we now understand about the mind through science.
So there's a scientific basis for all of this.
Well, take neuroscience, for example. Research shows that the subconscious mind governs the majority of our thoughts and behaviors.
Really? How much are we talking?
Some estimates say up to 95%.
Wow, 95%. That's incredible. So are you saying that all this visualizing and feeling our desires, especially as we drift off to sleep, is actually reprogramming our subconscious mind?
Exactly. By consistently impressing these positive images and feelings on the subconscious, we're essentially shifting our internal reality.
And then what happens?
Well, as our internal reality changes, so does our external experience. Like, we're rewiring our brains to attract what we want.
It reminds me of the law of assumption.
Yeah.
You know, that idea that whatever we assume to be true in our imagination will eventually become our reality.
You nailed it. And by consistently assuming the feeling of our wish fulfilled, especially through this sleep technique, we're essentially rewriting the script of our lives.
Okay, that makes sense in theory. But what about when doubt creeps in?
Doubt.
Yeah, like I'll start visualizing and then this little voice pops up and says, yeah, right, like that's ever gonna happen.
Doubt is a natural part of the process, you know? It's like our brains are wired to focus on what's not working, on the gap between where we are and where we want to be.
So how do we overcome that?
Well, Goddard said the key is persistence. Even when the external world seems to contradict our inner vision, we have to keep returning to the feeling of our wish fulfilled.
So we just keep visualizing,
Ugh.
no matter what's happening around us.
If we can maintain that internal state of knowing, regardless of what's happening around us, we'll eventually see those changes reflected in our external reality.
So it's almost like a mental muscle we have to train.
A mental muscle.
Yeah. The more we practice visualizing and feeling our desires, the stronger that knowing muscle becomes.
Exactly. And the more we strengthen that muscle, the less power those doubts have over us. Remember, our current reality is simply a reflection of past thoughts and beliefs.
Past thoughts and beliefs.
By changing our inner state, we can begin to create a new reality that will eventually replace the old one.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here. It's like we're not limited by our current circumstances. If we can shift our thoughts and beliefs, we can shift our reality.
That's the power of the subconscious mind.
This is amazing. But I have a question.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about specific desires like financial abundance or getting that dream job. Can Goddard's techniques be applied to other areas of life as well?
Like what?
What about things like improving our health or even transforming our relationships?
That's a great question. And it brings up a really important point. Goddard's teachings aren't just about manifesting material possessions or achievements.
So it's deeper than that.
They're about understanding that we're not limited by our current circumstances. Our imagination is the key to unlocking limitless possibilities in any area of our lives. Whether it's improving your health, enhancing your creativity, or creating more loving relationships, the principles remain the same.
So if someone's listening to this and they're feeling inspired to give Goddard's method a try, where should they start? What's the first step they can take tonight before they drift off to sleep?
First step.
Yeah, what should they focus on?
Well, the most important thing is to choose a desire that truly resonates with them. Something that genuinely excites them. It shouldn't feel like a chore or something they think they should want. It needs to light them up. Fill them with that sense of anticipation and joy.
Makes sense. It's got to be something they're passionate about.
Exactly.
And once they've identified their desire, they can start working through those 5 steps we outlined. Get clear, align with the emotion,
Yeah.
visualize, drift off to sleep with that vision, and then surrender to the process.
Exactly. And I can't stress this enough. Consistency is key. It's not about doing this perfectly once and expecting instant results. It's about cultivating a new way of thinking.
A new way of thinking.
A new relationship with your own creative power.
So it's a practice, a journey rather than a quick fix. And like any skill, it takes time and dedication to master.
Absolutely. And as you continue practicing, you'll start noticing subtle shifts in your reality.
Like what kinds of shift?
Well, things might start falling into place more easily. Or you might find yourself attracting new opportunities. Those synchronicities, those little winks from the universe that tell you you're on the right track.
I love those moments. They're like little bursts of magic. It makes you realize there really is something bigger at play here.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the more effortless the whole process becomes. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, it's all wobbly and awkward, but then almost overnight, it just clicks.
Clicks!
You find your balance and you're off.
So we've talked about the practical steps, the neuroscience, and the powers of consistency, but I feel like there's also a deeper philosophical layer to all of this, isn't there? Goddard wasn't just teaching people how to get more stuff.
You mean?
Well, he was offering a whole new way of understanding ourselves and our place in the universe.
Absolutely. And this is where it gets really profound. Goddard wasn't just teaching people how to manifest material things or achieve worldly success. He was offering a path to self-realization, to understanding our true nature as powerful creators.
So it's not just about getting what we want.
It's about recognizing the power within us to shape reality itself.
That's a pretty empowering message, isn't it? I mean, if we can truly create our own reality, then who's to say what's possible?
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? It opens us up to limitless possibilities. Goddard believed that we are all expressions of the divine, each with the potential to create our own reality.
Each of us, wow.
And by mastering our imagination, by learning to consciously direct our thoughts and feelings, we can begin to realize that potential.
So it's not just about our individual lives. If we all embrace this idea that we're creators, imagine the kind of world we could manifest collectively.
That's the dream, isn't it? A world where we're not just passive observers, but active participants in creating a reality that reflects our highest ideals.
It all starts with that shift in perspective, recognizing that the power to create isn't out there somewhere. It's within each and every one of us. And the more we tap into that power, the more we realize we're not just dreaming our lives.
Yeah, what do you want?
We're literally creating them.
You know, even if someone listening doesn't fully buy into all of Goddard's ideas, I think the very act of engaging with these concepts, of questioning our assumptions about what's possible, can be incredibly transformative in itself. It opens up a sense of wonder and possibility that can ripple out into all areas of our lives.
I completely agree. And I think that sense of wonder is what makes the deep dive so fascinating.
What do you mean?
We're not just presenting information. We're inviting our listeners to explore new ideas, to question their beliefs, and maybe even to discover something new about themselves along the way. Speaking of exploring, I think it's time we move on to the next part of our deep dive.
It's one thing to talk about these concepts and theories, but what really gets me excited is hearing about real-life examples of people who have actually used Goddard's techniques
To transform their lives.
to transform their lives. Those stories make this all feel so much more tangible.
Do you have any favorites?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many incredible stories out there, and it's not just anecdotal evidence.
What do you mean?
People from all walks of life have reported amazing transformations. Using Goddard's principles, I've read about people healing themselves from chronic illnesses,
No way.
manifesting unexpected financial windfalls, and even finding their soulmates seemingly out of thin air.
Okay, I'm officially hooked.
Yeah.
So what can our listeners learn from these success stories? Are there any common threads or patterns that might offer some guidance as we embark on our own manifesting journeys?
One of the most striking patterns is the unwavering belief these individuals had in their ability to create their desired reality.
So they didn't just hope for things to be different.
They didn't just passively wish for things to be different, they truly believed they had the power to make it so.
I think that's what trips a lot of people up. It's one thing to intellectually understand a concept, but it's another thing entirely to actually believe it on a deep, visceral level.
It's like that quote from Goddard. You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it.
That's powerful. So it's not enough to just go through the motions of visualizing and feeling our desires. We need to back it up with a rock-solid belief that it's actually possible.
Exactly. And that unwavering belief fueled their actions. It's not just about the inner work.
So there's outer work too.
It's about aligning our actions in the physical world with our desired reality.
So if I'm visualizing myself as a successful entrepreneur, I can't just sit on the couch all day waiting for a miracle. I need to be taking steps toward building that business, right?
Precisely. It's about bridging that gap between the inner and outer worlds, making sure our thoughts and actions are working in harmony.
It's like they say, the universe doesn't deliver door to door. You still got to meet the delivery guy halfway.
I love that. So we need unwavering belief and aligned action. What else? Are there any other common themes in those success stories?
I'm all ears.
Another one that really stood out was the role of gratitude. So many of these individuals cultivated a deep sense of gratitude for what they already had in their lives, even as they were still working towards bigger goals.
Gratitude, that makes sense.
Gratitude is all about shifting our focus from lack to abundance. Instead of dwelling on what we're missing, we're appreciating all the good things that are already present.
So instead of focusing on the empty half of the glass,
We're celebrating the full half.
exactly. It's like we're sending a signal to the universe that says, hey, I'm open to receiving more blessings. I'm ready for more good things.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to appreciate the little things.
Like what?
A beautiful sunset, a delicious cup of coffee, or a heartwarming conversation with a loved one.
Those small moments of appreciation.
And they can add up to a big shift in our overall energy.
It's almost like gratitude is the antidote to fear and doubt. You know,
What do you mean?
when we're in a state of appreciation, it's almost impossible to feel anxious or worried. And if our goal is to manifest our desires, it makes sense that we would want to be in that high vibe, positive state of mind as much as possible.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about aligning our energy with the frequency of what we want to attract.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive into Neville Goddard's teachings.
It really has.
It's clear that his work offers so much more than just a technique for manifesting desires. It's a whole philosophy for living a more empowered and fulfilling life.
I completely agree. You know, what strikes me most is how simple yet profound his teachings are. It's not about complex rituals or esoteric knowledge. It's about recognizing the power within each of us to create our own reality.
And that's a message we can all get behind.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm walking away from this conversation feeling so inspired.
Me too.
And dare I say it, hopeful.
It's contagious.
It really does feel like we have a lot more control over our lives than we often realize. If we can just tap into that power within, who knows what's possible?
That's the beauty of it. The power to create is already within us. It's just waiting to be unlocked.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I have one last question for our listeners. If your dreams could shape your reality, what would you choose to dream about tonight?
What a beautiful question to leave everyone with sweet dreams and happy manifesting.